Hey everyone, Nikki Sharp here. I am super excited to be talking to you today, and although we're doing it virtual, this is still going to be a great session. So first and foremost, I hope that you all are staying safe and healthy. Now, today's session is all about happiness. Happiness is one of those things that we all want in our life, but oftentimes it can be a little challenging to know if you're happy. And so I created this program, or this talk that I've given a few times, on the science of happiness. Now, why is it the science of happiness? Well, we're gonna go into that with one of the charts. And as you follow along in the corner here, I'm going to put all of the questions, and you can also download this to go along with me. I do encourage you to print out the form and take notes as we go along, because this is going to help give you an idea of what makes you happy and what makes you not happy. And then we're going to go through some fun exercises. So happiness. Why do we want to be happy? Well, happiness boosts your productivity. It actually has led to people making more money. So the happier you are means that you do make more money in your career. It helps you have better relationships with people. It keeps your health at higher levels. It helps prolong your life, and it helps you to cope with stress better. So if those aren't good enough reasons to be happy, then I don't know what is, but I know that in all of our lives, we are trying to be happy, fulfilled, and have awesome lives. So with that, what are the things that make us happy? They actually are going to be more simple than you think they are. Oftentimes people think that if they start to make more money, that leads to increased happiness. And that is true, but research has shown that hitting about the $75,000 a year mark is where, if you go above that, you are no more happy. So money is not the answer. What is the thing, or what are the things that make you happy? Well, they're simple. Smiling, talking with friends, going out and getting exercise, being in nature, playing with animals, watching funny YouTube videos about animals, and having a good laugh. One of the biggest things as well is being of service. So when you give, it actually boosts your happiness. To be happy is actually very simple. Now we're going to get into the actual worksheet of this and talk about the science behind the happiness. And a quick story here, as you're looking up at the top of the thing labeled like 1 through 10. So when I was doing my first book launch, I published my first book in 2015 or 16, I believe, and it was called The 5-Day Real Food Detox. And I realized that I wanted to get on the New York Times bestseller list. I wanted to sell as many copies because I knew this book would help people. So when you look at what your big goal is up in the corner there, I want you to come up with something that you're dreaming about that would just change your life dramatically if you were to hit it. So for me, that was selling a lot of copies of the book, hitting New York Times bestseller list. And what I realized was that every single day I was stressed out, I was anxious, I didn't feel like I was doing enough. And so with that, I realized with that sort of attitude, even though it was all things that were true at the time, there was no way that I was going to have this very positive outcome when I had very negative feelings day to day. So that's where we start. Under the 1 through 10, I want you to start to think about all of the things today, so far, since the moment you woke up, that have made you stressed out, or just those little ticks. And I put them as little negatives. So I want you under day 1, it's number 1, but under there, I want you to, in a line going up, think about all the sort of things that you've either said to yourself or to other people. So it could be, I'm tired today. That would be a little tick, a negative, a little like dash. Then above that, it could be, I overate today. Another little tick. I don't feel good enough. I don't feel pretty. Another tick. I was late for a meeting. Another tick. It could be really anything. And so I want you just to take a moment here and think about all the little things that so far today would be those little negative things, and just draw them in a line going up under there on top of the number 1 there. And so what we're trying to do here is actually start to change those into positives. And the reason that it's good to start to track is because in order to get to somewhere that we're trying to go, we need to know where we're starting from. It's like a map. You can't get the directions to go somewhere unless you know where you are starting from. So once you've done that, I want you then right next to it, so not on the number 2, but right next to the 1, start to think about all of the things that you've done today so far that would be positives, like, oh, I'm having a really good hair day, or I drank my water when I woke up, I went for a run, or I exercised. And then for each little one, I want you to put a little plus above it. So going up in a line, in a vertical line. So in one column, we're gonna have all the negatives, little dashes, and in the next column, we're gonna have little positives. For the next few days, I would like you to start tracking not the negatives, but the positives. Because once you know what your big goal is up in the corner, then you're gonna start to see how many things each day did I do that affected my mind. And the reason that it's really based on the science is because we know that the subconscious mind, which I talk as it's the back of your mind, you can't see it, you don't know what your subconscious thoughts are, but the subconscious thoughts are the things that are affecting you to say, oh, I don't feel good about myself, I feel fat today, I should work out, but I'm not going to. Things like that. And so we're trying to actually change the science or the chemistry of what we think in our brain to focus on the positive. So the next few days, I would like you to start to track the positives, because those are what's going to get you towards your big goal. So moving on down to the next one, I want you to write out all the things that make you happy in life. They can be big or small. They can be talking to a friend, going for a walk, buying a new purse, buying something. It could be traveling. And I know that everyone's at home right now, but think about if your life was normal as well as now. What are the things that make you happy right now? So take a moment and fill out that, which is what are the things that make you happy? All right, I hope that you've done that. The next thing that I'm gonna have you do is write down all the things that make you stressed. So this could be having too many phone calls for business or going to meetings. And again, think of your life more in terms of pre-corona, not during, but also include some of the things as you're going through now. You know, traffic is one of those big ones. It could be being late for a meeting, someone cut you off in traffic. And then the next thing from here is that I want you to look at your calendar in your phone, or maybe you use a journal, and fill it in of all the things that you put in your calendar. So take a moment to do that. Now here's the interesting part, and this is always that aha moment for people. When we start to look at the things that we schedule in the calendar, they tend to be the things that make us stressed out. And if you're trying to get to your big goal, which is in that big circle there, you'll notice that it's not gonna be very easy for you to get there when you're focusing and scheduling things that make you stressed out or unhappy. So this is one of those things that we're gonna start to shift. I want you to take 1 or 2 of the things from your happy list and add them into your calendar. So this could be, watching funny YouTube videos. That always makes me laugh and feel good. That's now gonna be scheduled into your calendar the same you would as a meeting, as a doctor's appointment, or anything on your to-do list. That should also now start to include things that make you feel good. And this is how we're gonna start to rewire the brain to think more positively, which leads to more happiness. The other thing here is that many people do gratitude logs, and I am all for gratitude logs. If you find yourself stressed out or anxious, then this is gonna be vitally important. What's cool about this and having you track the little just positives instead of writing them out is that you get to see day by day, can you make it more than the past day? And the more positives that you have every day, and as you track them like data, you'll see that you do naturally start to become more happy. Now, the next question on that is what's the big goal you're working towards? And you should have already filled that out, but it can be big or small, but it should be something that you have to work at in order to get there. Those are the things that make us happy, not actually getting to the goal once we achieve it, but happiness comes from being productive and feeling like we're working towards it every single day. Now, the next question on here is what is actually stopping you from getting to where you want to be? This could be anything like sabotage, or it could be feelings that you're just never going to get it. So for me, when it was this book launch, I had terrible feelings, being scared that I was just not going to do it. I didn't have enough people helping. And so what is stopping you from getting there could be your own mind. It could be that you don't have the right resources. It could be that you don't have the support, but I want you to take a minute to write that down. And then the next question is, what's the actual sabotage you do when you're working towards your goals? So I've found working with clients that there's two types of sabotage. There's the one that you start to feel a little bit of success and then you just wipe it all away because it's like, oh, I exercised for 5 days in a row and I ate healthy and now I'm gonna spend my whole weekend, kind of throwing that out the window. The other one is that people don't even start because they're so scared of failing. So I call it the spiritual onion, and that you have two layers of this spiritual onion. The first one is fear of failure, which we all have. That one's actually pretty easy to overcome when you start to realize that you do in fact have the resources that you need. And as you track your happiness more and more, you'll find that it's easier to overcome that. The next layer of this spiritual onion is fear of success. And unfortunately, we don't discuss this often enough, but the whole fear of success is that what if I don't actually enjoy it when I get there? Or what if it's not enough? And so the reason the science of happiness is so important is because you start to realize that the more of the little things, or those little positives as they go up, those are going to be the things that fulfill you, that nourish you, that make you happy. And as you track those and focus on those, that fear of success actually becomes smaller because you realize you're working towards your goals every single day. And that is one of the things that causes the biggest joy and happiness in our life. So I just want you to take a moment and write down what sort of sabotage you do, because in order to move past something, again, we have to know what it is we're doing. We have to become conscious of it. And one of the good things about this time at home is we are being given an opportunity to sit down, to reflect, and to really look at those things that make us happy and those which don't. So maybe you don't like your job. Now is the perfect opportunity to see, are you scheduling things in your calendar that are only related to that job you don't like? Or are you including things that also bring you joy in your life? Because when you shift that, you might not actually dislike the job so much. The next page of this worksheet that I'm gonna be having you guys do is I want you to think about the last 5 things that you did today. And that could be anything from making coffee to having a meeting. It obviously is going to be a little bit easier when you're out and about, not locked away at home, but still, I want you to take a moment and think about that. And on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being this gave you the greatest pleasure, I want you to rate it. So did you make coffee this morning? Was that a 1, you just hated doing it, but you do it? Or was it a 5 that it's a ritual and you love the smell and you really put some love and effort into it? And then I want you to write down how much time it took for you to do this. And the reason this is important to track as well is because if you're unhappy and you're trying to increase your levels of happiness, you need to know where you're spending your time. And so once you do that, you can then start to add in those things from the very first question, which is what makes you happy. And then as you start to add those in, you'll find that you can spend more and more time because they're scheduled. And that is one of the most key things that you need to do. And research across the board, whether it's for work, for better fitness and better health, to better relationships, is that you have to schedule time for whatever it is you're trying to improve. Now, the last section on this is the action plan. And I want you to take a minute just to reflect on what the questions are. And I want you to ask yourself, what simple action am I committed to doing or changing in my life? This could be scheduling something. This could be just focusing on one thing that makes you happy every day, but I want you to write something down right there. And the next question here is, how will this transform my life? And this is one of the most important questions you're actually going to answer, because unless you know how it's going to impact you, then you're not going to do it. So take a moment and think about, how is this going to impact and transform my life for the better? So let's say you are trying to get fit during this time while you're at home. How is that going to impact your life by doing that one simple action that you put above? And last, I want you to write down, what are you going to do differently when it comes to stress in your life? Because the science of happiness is all about minimizing stress while we also boost up the happiness. And the ways we do that is by tracking things. It's by writing down what makes us happy. It's by scheduling those. And it's by also starting to minimize stress with the things that we can control. So let's say you're really stressed out because you have meetings all day long and there are Zoom calls and your internet is failing. What's one thing that you can do that will help you manage that stress just a little bit better? So with that, I hope that you guys enjoyed this worksheet. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to message me. My email is Nikki @NikkiSharp, which I will put right there. You can message me on Instagram. It's my hashtag, or not my hashtag, my Instagram name is just @NikkiSharp. And I really hope that you take a moment to do this worksheet, to fill it out. And I would love to know your answers and if this helps you in any way to become more happy in your life.